For practice it self-check 6.21 getFileName, we are asked to write a method getFileName. So we're going to start off with public static void and then getFileName, and we're repetitively prompting the user for a file name until the user types the file of the name of a file that exists on the system. Once we get a good file name, we need to return that file name as a string. And here is sample dialog for our method, and we need to assume that the file good.txt does exist and the others do not. So to do this repetitively, we're going to need a while loop. Since we're also taking user input, we're going to need a scanner. So we're going to actually, since we're returning a string right here, so it asks us to return the file name as a string, this needs to be a string. And we'll have a while loop here, and we need user input. So after we place our brackets that also surround our method, we need to make a scanner in here. It'll be scanner, we can call it scan, and we're setting it equal to new scanner. And in here we'll just have system.in. That way we can get user input. And we'll have while, and this is the important part. We need to use .can read. And what we're doing is we need to make a new file that holds this scan and tests it in can read. So we'll also have file, and we'll call this file lowercase, or we can just call it f, and we'll set it equal to new file, and this is going to be scan.next line. However, we don't really know what this next line is unless we prompt the user. So before here, we're going to need a system.out.print, and since it's on the same line, we're going to have this on the same line. In our system.out.print, we need to have type file name, and then after that, the user will enter a file name, and we will store it in here. So we'll say while not file can read. This is basically saying if the file cannot be read, we're going to go in our while loop and continuously prompt our user to give us a better or a existent file name. So until that happens, until we get an existent file name, we're not going to break out of this while loop. So in here, we can actually copy this, or not copy this, we can copy this part, this print line statement, where it says type of file name, and then we are going to store that next line in our f, so we can retest it again when we run through this while loop again. So we'll say f is equal to new file scan.next line. And after this, we need to return it. We need to return the file name as a string. So we can return, and then we will have we need this next line to be stored actually, so we can use it multiple times. And so we can say string line. We'll initialize this like this. Inside of here, we'll actually do string line is equal to scan.next line. That way it stores it in here and it's not just a one-off. And we'll pass line in here. And then if this works out, we'll break out of our while loop and just return line like this. If we submit it, I have definitely forgotten some semicolons. And we see that variable line is already defined in our method, so we can undefine it. And if we submit it again, oh, that's right, the error is from defining it here a second time. So this isn't the issue, line 5 isn't the issue, this was the issue. We can't redefine it. So if we just do that, we can submit it, and we can see that we have passed both tests. We tested for a good file name, and our file output was good.txt, which it was asking us for. It was asking us to return the string, so we just return this string. To go over this again, we have a scanner that takes user input. we initially prompt the user for the file name. We store this file name in here in our file object. That way we can use this f.canRead to test it. This string line is being initialized here. In fact, we can move it up here. And this is just to store the scan.nextLine in here and then return it if it's correct. We have while f.canRead, so while this file name is incorrect or while it cannot be read, we are going to be in this while loop. Once it can be read, we are going to break out of here. If this was like this, it would be basically opposite, where basically we would be in our while loop as long as the file name is good. And we don't want that, so we have this not here. And we're just going to prompt the user to enter the file name. We store this input in line so that we can check it in here, and then if it's correct, check it in here. Otherwise, we'll go through this while loop again and again. And that is the code that will give us this output and solve this problem.